This week on The Watchman, when suicide bombers were running rampant, the Israeli military turned to him.
The government took the first decision to let the army design and build a security fence. And that was the moment when I got the mission to be the head of this project.
Colonel Danny Terza joins us to describe the security fence he designed that is saving Israeli lives. Plus, we meet some of Israel's amazing first responders to see how they're blessing Israel and the world. It's The Watchman. It's Christians United for Israel, only on TBN. And welcome to The Watchman. Folks, the Middle East is more chaotic, unpredictable, and violent than ever before, with Israel as the lone island of sanity and democracy in a sea of terror and tyranny. The Palestinians, on the other hand, have spent the past few months carrying out a wave of terror attacks against Israeli civilians, all with the vocal support of the same Palestinian Authority leaders who are supposedly Israel's partners for peace. Folks, it truly is a world turned upside down. We live in times where good is considered evil and evil is considered good. Bible times. Now, in the past, the U.S. has always stood with Israel at the UN Security Council, which also includes Britain, France, Russia, and China. But there are signs that the status quo at the UN may be changing. Thankfully, Israel is a thriving, free, sovereign democracy that can determine its own destiny. And the Word of God makes clear that Israel's destiny is a mighty one. Still, part of controlling your own destiny means controlling your borders and getting a handle on security, especially when the very people the world is pressuring you to embrace are murdering your citizens on a regular basis. Take a look. Stabbings, shootings, car rammings. Those have been the main weapons of choice for Palestinian terrorists during a recent wave of deadly attacks against Israeli civilians. Yet things took on an even more horrific twist recently when a Hamas member carried out a suicide bombing on board a Jerusalem bus, injuring 20 Israelis. For Israelis, it brought back dark memories of the Second Intifada, a period between 2000 and 2005 when Palestinian terrorists carried out frequent suicide bombings against buses, restaurants, and shops. Over 1,000 Israelis were killed and many more wounded during this period.
First, they were shooting from their areas toward Jewish neighborhoods in Jerusalem. Then they were sending terrorists, first with cocktail bottles and hand grenades, then shooting in the streets, putting bombs wherever they can, and then the suicide bombers and the explosive cars. And of course, all the life in Israel have changed in one day.
Beginning in 2006, however, Palestinian suicide bombings decreased dramatically. The drop in attacks coincided with Israel's construction of a security fence alongside Palestinian areas in the West Bank. The fence was built to prevent Palestinian terrorists from infiltrating Israel and carrying out attacks.
From January 2007 till today, we had only 33 terror attacks from the West Bank, and we lost in this period 18 people. Of course, I cannot say only because everyone is a whole word, but you can see the difference.
Colonel Danny Terza was the designer and architect of the security fence. He joins us today on The Watchman to discuss why it is so important for Israel's security. Well, Danny, tell us where we are right now.
Okay, we're standing now at the southeast neighborhood of Jerusalem. This neighborhood behind you is called Gilo neighborhood, G-I-L-O. About 45,000 Israelis are living here, and we're just on the municipal boundary of Jerusalem. This is Jerusalem, Israel, and this is the West Bank. If you look down the valley, you can see from here there are two roads. One road where the traffic runs on, second road, nobody on it, and then you can see a wire fence. Well, this wire fence there is the security fence. Well, oops, wherever you've seen the security fence in the media, they always show you those concrete walls. Well, there are concrete walls. You can see some of them there on the mountain. But please remember, only 5% of this huge project of 451 miles long, only 5% are concrete walls. All the other are wire fences, as you can see down the valley here. You'll never see them in the media.
It's amazing because we hear so much about this apartheid wall in Israel, but Colonel, you're saying, look, this is only 5% of this long structure, but which, by the way, you designed, so you know of which you speak. Tell us about the thought process behind designing the security fence.
Well, in summer 2000, we were in Camp David, Maryland, and as you know, Prime Minister Ehud Barak offered the Palestinian 94% of the West Bank, all Gaza Strip, large areas in Jerusalem, and even the Temple Mountain. But he asked Yasser Arafat for one thing, that he will sign that this agreement is the end of the conflict between our two people. And Yasser Arafat couldn't do it. So everything crashed down there, and just 6 weeks later, the Palestinians started a terror attack against Israel.
The second intifada.
What they are calling the second intifada, and of course I don't use their terms because it means, every word means something behind it. Well, first they were shooting from their areas toward Jewish neighborhoods in Jerusalem. Then they were sending terrorists, first with cocktail bottles and hand grenades, then shooting in the streets, putting bombs wherever they can, and then the suicide bombers and the explosive cars. And of course, all the life in Israel have changed in one day. There were three young girls from the Haitian refugee camp that wanted to create a terror attack in Jerusalem. So they just took a taxi from the Haitian refugee camp to Lydda refugee camp. When these three terrorists saw the border police here, two of them got cold feet and they went back to the refugee camp. One of them succeeded to get to the bus station there in the street. He got on public bus number 32. The bus was crowded with children in the way to school, and he waited. He waited till the bus came in front of the school, and then he blew up himself. There were 19 children that were murdered in this terror attack, and 62 that were wounded. And everyone was shocked in Israel, not because it was the first terror attack, not because it was the biggest terror attack, then because this terror attack was intended to hit little children. This is not how freedom fighters are acting. This is how terrorists are acting. Well, at that time, the Prime Minister of Israel was Ariel Sharon. You know, Ariel Sharon was a very famous general in the army before he came to the politics. He was in his office here in Jerusalem, less than 1 kilometer from the place that this terror attack took place. He said to his people, I want to go there. I want to see it in my own eyes. They said to him, you are not in the army anymore. You are now the Prime Minister of Israel. You cannot go to such dangerous places. But he insisted, and in the end, they took him to the street. It was all bloody there. Some of the wounded were still on the ground. And although he was in so many battles, he was shocked to see these little children.
19 children.
19 children.
Purposely targeted.
Yeah, and there were 19 children that were murdered and 62 that were wounded. It took another 2 weeks. Another big terror attack in Passover evening in Netanya. And the government took the first decision to let the army design and build a security fence. And that was the moment when I got the mission to be the head of this project. Well, as the government didn't want to build it, the government didn't want to get inside the details of the route of the fence. So I was the bad guy that had to walk on the ground, define the right line of the fence, and build it as fast as I can.
Wow. These sound like turning points in the decision to see these horrific suicide bombings, children targeted. And Colonel, this was a non-stop flow, people need to understand, coming from the West Bank of suicide bombers. This was becoming an epidemic in Israel. Something had to be done to stop it. And what were the effects after the fence was built? What happened?
From 2000 till 2006, the end of 2006, we had in Israel about 4,000 terror attacks. In this period, we lost 1,652 people that were murdered from terror attacks, a lot of others were wounded. And from January 2007 till today, we had only 33 terror attacks from the West Bank, and we lost in this period 18 people. Of course, I cannot say only because everyone is a whole word, but you can see the difference. But
That's
it's not
astounding.
only.
That's
but
an
it's not,
astounding difference.
But it's not only the fence. The fence is the infrastructure on the
Yeah.
ground. If the soldiers are not working here, if the intelligence is not working here, if there are no good relations with the Palestinian side and very good coordination with the Palestinian police, it doesn't work.
What do you make of the world's reaction? Many times we hear this called an apartheid wall, even though only 5% of this 400-mile-long structure is a wall. What do you make of the so-called international community's view of the fence?
Well, as an officer, I have to stop the terror. That's my mission. But of course, I understand what's going on around. First, I have to tell you that it's not apartheid because there are Jews and Arabs that are living in both sides of the fence. There are some Arabs and some Palestinians that are living in Israel, more than 1.2 million Palestinians living inside Israel. Most of them are Israeli civilians. They have everything in Israel. And there are about 300,000 Israeli residents in the West Bank, what is called the settlers. So it's not apartheid because there are Jews and Arabs in both sides, and it's not a wall because only 5% of it's a concrete wall.
Coming up after the break, Colonel Danny Terza explains how Palestinian culture glorifies terrorism and prevents peace. It's the Watchman. It's Christians United for Israel only on TBN. On nearly every border, Israel is surrounded by enemies that seek its destruction. Vicious terror groups like ISIS, Hezbollah, and Hamas are acquiring deadlier and more advanced weapons as Iran moves ever closer to a nuclear bomb. At the UN, the international community shuns Israel. On college campuses, Jewish students are harassed and intimidated. God's chosen people are facing an all-out assault. As a Christian, how will you answer God if you choose to do nothing? It's time for Christians to take a stand. Join CUFI, America's largest pro-Israel organization, where 3 million Christians across the United States are working together to defend Israel in our classrooms, churches, and communities. From college campuses to Capitol Hill, CUFI is making a difference and fighting for Israel. Visit our website, cufi.org, and join the movement for such a time as this. If this fence was not built a few years ago, do you think the onslaught would have continued? And by the way, right now we see what's being called a stabbing intifada in Jerusalem. Could that be even worse without the fence?
Well, the stabbing attack against Israel is another way. It doesn't start from the Palestinian organizations. It's come from the insight that they have from the Palestinian leaders, and most of the people says that it's because Al-Aqsa Mosque. That's not right. Most of the people that stab Israelis, they are not religious. They didn't do it for religious reasons. They're doing it just to be heroes. You have to understand the Arab culture. You want to be a man. You want to show everyone that you are a man. You are living under the Israelis, and it's abusive because you want to be your own. You want your own freedom. And when they want to show everyone that they are in the front of the Islam against the Western world, and that is what is called the jihad. Who is today in the front? ISIS. And they want to be like ISIS. So if they're taking a knife and they're stabbing Israeli, they are heroes. Although they kill themselves, but they are heroes. And they are going to the sky as heroes. And I cannot understand it. How a mother that lost her child, that he was killed by such a terror attacks, and she's happy. I cannot
Passing
understand
out candy.
it. Not a Jew can understand it, and I believe that the mercy of the Christians cannot understand how the Muslims are taking these people as heroes. And this is something that people are not getting inside the mind of the other side. If you want to understand them, you have to understand the culture. That people are ready to die for nothing, just to be shown as brave people.
So you think ISIS and their emergence on the scene has played a role in inspiring?
Of
Here
course,
in the past, yeah.
we know it because some of these people were caught. And of course, when we talk with them, we try to understand why a 16 years old child is going to stab someone, trying to kill someone. And you're talking to him, you're trying to understand. And he said, yes, yesterday I saw in the television ISIS, I saw how brave they are. It doesn't matter if they kill themselves, they are the braves, they are the front of the Islam.
You designed the fence is necessary, but you've said, hey, I'd love to see this fence come down. I know you've said that.
A lot of times.
Do you see a scenario where that could ever happen? I guess that's up to the Palestinian side mainly.
In the long term, when we'll have peace with our neighbors, and there will be no frighten of terror, we can remove this fence and live here normally and freely as people are living all over the world. We have a lot of common culture with the Palestinians. There are a lot of friendship between people to people, and really I hope the day will come and we can remove it.
But the terror has to stop.
Before that.
Yes. Well, Colonel, thank you so much.
It
was a real pleasure. Thank you. Up next, see how the groundbreaking work of Israeli first responders is saving lives at home and around the world. It's The Watchman, only right here on TBN. Stick around.
Israel's fight is our fight. We are one. We are united. We will not be discouraged. We will not be defeated. We will not be intimidated. We will not sit down. We will not be silent. We are the worst nightmare of the anti-Semites of the world. The victory is going to be ours.
Join the largest pro-Israel organization in the U.S. for the 2016 CUFI Summit in Washington, D.C., July 18th and 19th. You will hear numerous experts and have an opportunity to meet face-to-face with your government representatives and express your support for Israel. Visit our website, cufi.org, and register today for the 2016 CUFI Summit in Washington, D.C.
And welcome back to The Watchman on TBN. We talk often on this show about how Israel today is fulfilling its biblical mandate as a light unto the nations. Well, I can't think of a better example of that than Magen David Adom. It's Israel's ambulance, blood services, and disaster relief organization like the Red Cross here in the States. And its paramedics serve as first responders to all Israelis, regardless of their faith or ethnicity. I sat down recently with two of them to hear about the amazing work their organization is doing in Israel and around the world.
In Israel and internationally, Magen David Adom is first on the scene. Lately, we are using the power of community to get people who were trained in first aid. They are not Magen David Adom staff, but they are regular people who knows how to do CPR. We send them through a special application to their cell phone. Listen, somebody collapsed 2 minutes from you. If you can go there and start treating him. And now this works because the Jewish spirit, the Israeli spirit, is trying to help others. Now, Magen David Adom is also the national blood services of the state of Israel. And talking about humanitarian assistance, we are doing wonderful things to Israelis and to Palestinians as well. We have cases that rare blood was needed for Palestinians, and due to all kinds of restrictions, the Palestinians couldn't arrive to Israel and donate blood. So we find very, very, let's say, innovative ways of meeting in the checkpoint and taking blood in the middle of the checkpoint.
A very Israeli thing to do is to help people in need. A very Jewish thing, a very Israeli thing is to help everybody. And every person that is in need of help, especially medical help, that get treated by Magen David Adom is thankful, is grateful, is happy to be able to get, because we can get there fast, we have all the equipment, we have everything, and to treat them on the scene, to actually start advanced treatments right away and help save life. And they are grateful for that. I love my job, I love what I do, I love helping people.
Because we are an experts in the field of pre-hospital, our disaster response usually is about treating wounded people from natural disasters. We are doing this because this is the spirit of Magen David Adom. I think this is the spirit of the Israelis to go and help others. We cannot see somebody else suffer. We're doing this from then in many cases. Recent one was in Nepal, when we sent a delegation to assist the victim of the earthquake.
So the earthquake was Saturday noon. By Sunday noon, we were already on ground in Nepal. Again, 10-hour flight from us, meaning less than 14 hours to get ready, to get vaccinated, to get all the equipment ready, to get everything, and to fly there. And we got there being the first delegation, the first medical delegation, the first people that arrived. The Nepalians were shocked to see us. They did not know at that time that people are coming. At that time, there was still the electricity was still out. There was still raining. They were so in shock because they did not know that the world actually knows that something big happened there. So they had like a relief to see us. They felt so alone, and then they see us coming there with our uniform, wearing exactly like we are wearing right now, and just feel relief and be able to go there and actually help people that are so much in need was an amazing experience, and a hard one, but an amazing one.
Magen David Adom is the national rescue organization of the State of Israel, which is something big. But in my eyes, we are more like a construction company. We build bridges. We build bridges between nations. We build bridges between people. We make people understand that we need to live in this little tiny piece of land together with each other. Now, you know, when you are saying a Muslim, a Jew, and a Christian is riding an ambulance, it sounds like a beginning of a joke. In Magen David Adom, it's a daily reality. It's a daily reality. And once you are in the ambulance, and Tal can say this from firsthand, there are no politics, there are no boundaries, there is nothing that suggests that you are coming from a different background. There is one goal and one goal only: save the life of the patients that you have. So in a very large sense, yes, I think Magen David Adom should set example for nations, for governments, and for everybody who wants to see how the Middle East can become a better place.
Coming up, my final thoughts on the nations raging against Israel. It's the Watchman, only with Kufi and only on TBN. Don't move.
Centuries-old churches and monasteries burnt to the ground, Christian villages ransacked, women and children enslaved, and believers in Jesus led to their deaths. ISIS has declared an all-out war on Christians. Believers in the Middle East outside of Israel are suffering horrible persecution. Christians united for Israel will not remain silent as Islamic extremists carry out a genocide against our brothers and sisters in Christ. On Capitol Hill, Kufi is working hard to ensure America's allies receive the aid they need to defeat ISIS. Kufi is leading a Raise Your Voice campaign to bring the issue front and center for Christians across America. Visit our website, cufi.org, to find out how you can stand with Kufi as we stand up for the persecuted church. If not us, who? And if not now, when?
And welcome back to The Watchman, only right here on TBN. Folks, how important is the work we're doing at Christians United for Israel? Think about this. In 1948, just 3 years after World War II and a Nazi Holocaust that claimed 6 million Jewish lives, the Jewish people miraculously reestablished the nation of Israel. And right away, the surrounding Arab nations invaded and vowed to wipe this tiny, fledgling little nation called Israel off the map before it even had a chance to get started. Now remember, this was just 3 years after the Holocaust. 6 million Jews dead, everyone saying, never again. But guess what? As the Arab armies gathered and attempted to finish what Hitler started, no one came to help Israel. So much for never again. Israel was on its own, yet it won a miraculous victory and has won many more like it over the past 68 years since it was reborn as a nation state. Folks, my point is this. Today, as Israel is targeted for destruction, no one is going to come unless Christians do. It's up to us, and we have, in my view, a special charge to stand with Israel and the Jewish people. Here at Christians United for Israel, we take that charge very seriously. That's why over 3 million Christians have joined with us to stand in the gap for Israel. You know, the Bible says that the nations may rage and band together against Israel, but God laughs at them. He will have the final say. So, the information is on your screen. Join us here at Kufi and become part of what God is doing in Israel and around the world right now. It's a movement, folks, for such a time as this. Until next time, from the Watchman and Christians United for Israel, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace.